Download links to the files created in this video are in the description. Now, there are quite a few Celtic knot tutorials that are online, so if you find this one a bit challenging, or if you want to try a different approach, I recommend you go and check out the one done by Logos by Nick. The link is also in the description. So with that said, let's get started. Go to File, Document Properties, let's set our display units to pixels and uncheck Show Page Border. Close Document Properties, and first step, let's come to Create Circles, Ellipses and Arcs. Press Ctrl and click and drag to create a perfect circle. Once you've created your circle, let's come over to Select and Transform Objects. Set the width to 100 pixels. Before setting the width, make sure that the proportional scaling padlock is locked so that the width and height scale at the same rate. So set the width to 140 pixels. That should be okay. Yeah. Then let's hover over the circle, press Ctrl and roll the mouse wheel up to zoom in. And then let's go to Object, Fill and Stroke. Set the fill to no paint, stroke paint to flat color, and let's come over to the stroke width and change the units to pixels and set that to 10 pixels. Then let's bring down the opacity to about 50%. And let's switch back to the Create Circles, Ellipses and Arcs tool. Come over to the Circle Properties, and on the Start property, we want to enter 195, that's 195 degrees. Then the end value, we want to enter 345 degrees. Then we want to change it from this wedge shape to an open arc or an unclosed shape, like that. So next step, let's switch to the Select and Transform tool. I'm just going to scroll down to bring it down there, scroll up, then press Ctrl D to duplicate it. Then click on the object again to show the rotation handles. And the rotation handles are these curved arrows at the corners. Then hover over the rotation arrow, the rotation handle, and once it turns green, click and drag it to rotate the duplicate. Then press Ctrl to snap the angle at about at exactly 120 degrees, like that. Then we want to enable snap controls, so come over to your snap controls, check enable snapping, enable nodes, paths and handles, and snap smooth nodes, snap cusp nodes, then snap smooth nodes, also snap other points, and snap an item's rotation center. Now that all that snapping is enabled, let's come over and click and drag, and it should snap onto the cusp node like that. Then we want to come back to the fill and stroke and make sure that we've set the cap for the ends of the stroke to a square cap. So click on square cap and the end should overlap like that. And we want to do the same for the other semicircle or arc. Set that end to a square cap, and that should get a diamond shape where they overlap like that. Next, let's duplicate the arc again, Control D, and then show the rotation handles, click and drag, press Control, and snap it at 120, click and drag to bring it, and now we have our basic Celtic knot shape. So I'm going to click and drag a bounding box over all of the arcs, then come to Path, Stroke to Path. Make sure that is Stroke to Path. Next, I want to get the intersection points where this diamond shape and this diamond shape are formed. So that will be this arc and this arc. I'm going to press Ctrl D to duplicate them. Come over to Path, Intersection, and we'll get these two diamond shapes. And I'm just going to press Ctrl Z to undo that move. Then I want to get this diamond shape and this one at the end here, which will be this arc and this arc. Press Ctrl D to duplicate them, and then you can use the keyboard shortcut instead of going to the menu. Ctrl Shift Star, and you'll get the two diamond shapes. Before the next step, I just want to come and scroll and zoom in to explain something. So if we zoom in, we'll see that the arcs are slightly overlapping at the edges here. So what I want to do is remove those overlaps here, these tiny wedges here. So to do that, I'm going to subtract this arc on the right, this one, from this one, and then clean up the wedges after I've subtracted them. So first, let's click on the arc that's on the left, on the top left here, this arc, and I want to come and lower the selection to the bottom. Then shift and click on the one on the right, and then go to Path, Difference, and I will get the difference between the two arcs. And let's press Ctrl and zoom in. Alright, then let's switch to Edit Paths by Nodes. And you wanna click and drag a bounding box over these nodes and press Delete, and then we've got a few left to clean up on the right here, and press Delete like that. So now we don't have any extra nodes around. It's just, let's switch to the Select and Transform. It's just the arc and the diamond shape. I press Ctrl Z and Ctrl Z again to undo the move. Then next, let's come over to the bottom corner and do the same. So first, I think we don't need this arc anymore, so I'll press Delete to remove it. And then let's Control and zoom in here. Oh yes, we do need it. Oh, sorry. Ctrl Z. And I'm gonna click on the arc, then click on the second arc and Control minus to get the difference between them. And then now I can come in and clean up the wedges. So I'll just press I'll just bring this diamond shape to the side, and we can see the extra stuff a bit clear. So I'll click on the arc and then switch to edit paths by nodes, and I want to clean up these nodes here and these ones on the right here. And the bounding box should move right closer up to the arc once you're done. And let's switch to select and transform and click and drag the little diamond intersection piece to come and snap it back on there. So there's no more overlaps now. And let's control and zoom out. And then let's come over to this pair of intersections. So it's this one and this one. Control Z to undo the move. Then let's come to path, break apart. We're breaking them apart because we only want to deal with this one here. And then now in order to follow along with the next part, you're going to need to make sure you've got Inkscape 1.0 installed. Sorry for not mentioning that earlier. But anyways, let's move on and come over to path effects. While this diamond intersection shape is selected, click the plus to add a path effect. Then we want to go to offset. Click on offset. Make sure the join is miter. And let's click on the plus to increase the offset value. It's on 0.1. Let's increase it again. 0.2. I think 0.3 should do. And yeah, that looks good. And I'll close. Well, let's switch back to here and shift and click on the arc. And then control minus to remove the diamond shape with the offset that we just created. And then next, let's just snap this on because there was a gap there. So let me just press Ctrl Z, Ctrl Z. You can see there was a gap there, so I just want to snap this back on in line like that. And then we want to combine everything that's left. So you've got this arc with a gap in it, and it's got the two ends like that. So click and drag over everything to select it, then go to path, union. Next step, press Ctrl D to duplicate. Click on the object again to get the rotation handles and rotate it by 120 degrees. Drag it and snap it on at the bottom. Then Ctrl D to duplicate again. And let's rotate it in this direction. Snap it at 120 degrees. Click and drag to bring it up. Let me zoom in to make it easier to snap on like that. And when we zoom out, we'll see our Celtic knot. And that's our Celtic knot. So I'll click and drag over everything. And instead of going to the path menu to union, I can also do Control Shift and plus. And there's our Celtic knot. So if you want to add a circle intertwined with the knot, we can do that too. Let's create a circle. Come over to create a circles and ellipses. Click and drag. Alright, it's still a semicircle, but don't worry about that. We'll fix it. Then let's make the shape a whole ellipse, not an arc or segment on the circle properties there. And then let's switch to select and transform, and let's give the width and height about, let's make it smaller, about 90 should do. Pixels, like that. Oh, 90 is way too small. Let's go 120. Which is way too big. Okay, one more thing we need to do before we set the size of the circle. Let's come over to the Bezier tool. Click on the Bezier tool. Then we want to snap nodes with the Bezier. So click a node at this bottom left corner, the bottom left internal corner, bottom right internal corner, and the top internal corner, and press enter, and you'll get a path like that. Come back to path effects, and we want to create a circle or an ellipse from the points, and an ellipse will be formed. Then let's switch back to the select and transform objects tool, and if we drag our previous circle to the center of the circle, it will snap on, because the center of the rotation center of the Celtic knot is a bit higher than where the rotation center of the circle should be. So let's switch back to our circle and make it slightly smaller. So I'm going to press Shift and drag the transform handles to about that size. Then we can go ahead and delete our second ellipse. And let's click on the circle, come to path and stroke to path. Then shift and click on the Celtic knot, press Ctrl D, and we want to get the intersections of the circle and the Celtic knot. So we'll press Ctrl Shift star, and we'll get all the diamond shapes where the circle and the Celtic knot intersect. Then let's go to path and break apart. Click on the side to deselect everything. Then we want to go one by one and get the offset shapes for each of these diamonds. So click on that diamond shape, click on the plus, go to offset, and I think it was 0.3, like that. And let's do the same for each of the other ones. Offset 0.3, offset 0.3, offset 0.3, click on the diamond shape, offset 0.3, diamond shape, add path effect, offset, and 0.3. And I think we can close the path effects and deal with what we've got here now. So here it's the knot that's being cut by the diamond shapes. So next we'll need to cut the circle. So click on the diamond shape and then shift click on the circle and Control minus to subtract the diamond from the circle. Next, click on the knot, then on the diamond shape, Control minus. So we've done the knot, next it will be the circle, diamond shape, Control minus, knot, diamond shape, Control minus, circle, Control minus, knot, Control minus, and that's all of them. Then Control and scroll down to zoom out, and that's our Celtic knot. Let's crank up the opacity to 100% and do the same for the circle, 100%, and that's our Celtic knot, or also our trinity knot. With when it's with the circle, it's a trinity knot, and that's how you do it. Again, the download links for this file are in the tutorial and the description, and you can check out the other tutorial by Logos by Nick. And thanks for watching. If you have any questions or comments, leave them in the comment section below, and I'll see you in the next video.